Listen, once upon a time, I was a liberal, so to speak. I believe that, dare I say, spiritual secret knowledge, it's not secret, but we can say it was secret, was made to be accessible to everyone. So I did everything in my power to make it accessible. I really did everything in my power. And then I discovered the truth. No, they don't want it. It's not for everybody. In fact, they'll attack you and do everything in their power to silence you. So one can say it's because they're stupid or they're evil. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think it's just not, they're not designed to receive it. So when somebody represents that or makes it public or official, it creates a disturbance in their environment. So then they want, it's like an immune system that wants to reject, eject, or destroy this foreign material. So we can look at it from so many ways, but I've understood by first-hand experience that no, it's not for everybody. It's not for many people. It's not for most people. It's for select few, very, very few, that would be really honest. And also, if we, instead of speaking, instead of remaining in the realm of the esoteric, let's say we came down and established ourselves in political, governmental, warlike tactics. So there's so much things happening in the governments that the majority of people don't know. And of course, people are silly and then they get upset and they think they're being cheated and lied to. But no, this you will not understand. There's too much complexity, and the commoner is too busy with his day-to-day activities and is consumed by them. So if we shared that with you, what will you understand? You will not understand. You will see it as a insanity or a threat because you don't have the mental capacity nor the intelligence to understand what's being told to you. So why are we going to bother? It's like telling a 2-year-old how to build a power plant. Why am I wasting my time? Let's just do what we have to do and keep it covert operation. So in the horizontal realm, this exists. It's covert. It's why you don't understand. It's not necessarily negative that you don't understand. Maybe you don't have to. You're concerned with growing food. You're concerned with your day-to-day activities. We can make this example more complex, but I think you understand. You're not going to grasp it. So imagine now for more esoteric aspects, more vertical. People will even less understand. So who says that this knowledge or knowledge of power or power is for everyone? This took me a long time to understand. Everybody thinks they want power, but when you present people with opportunities to have access to power, generally they run away from you. They get very angry at you. They don't want nothing to do with it. That's also my experience. Yeah. Yeah. They don't want it. So then you start to realize, okay, so they don't really want it. They want to be governed. And when we say this, it sounds negative and everybody wants to pretend that they want to be free, but they don't. People are very happy to be governed. They want to be governed in this modern day and age while feeling they're free. But they're being governed. They need to be governed. They couldn't live without the governance. Also, something interesting is govern, direct mind, mint. So governments direct the minds of people. And these people need their minds directed. So again, it's an illusion to believe everybody wants power. No, that's not true. I thought this once and I was mistaken. I learned the hard way, very hard. Immune system decided to try to eat me. Did not succeed. I was very kind to not make that organism explode, but I kind of did. I gave it an orgasm like it never had before. And like nobody can give it. But that is the conclusion I came with. No, people don't want power. They're very happy to be subordinates as long as they're under the impression that they're in charge. So the question is, well, who has access to this power and how should they use the power? And unfortunately, I'm not sure even if it's unfortunate, but generally people who have power tend to abuse it. And this is also a subject on its own, but let's say for the sake of conversation and simplicity, generally people when they have power, there's a tendency to want to abuse those who are subordinate or take advantage. Is it the nature of power to do so, or is it that the people who are in a position of power have a distortion? If we would fix them, would they do that? Distortion means something in their mind is twisted. Twisted sounds negative. Out of tune, out of balance. If we would bring it into balance, would they then use the same power against people? I don't know, I'm not sure. So it's not necessarily power that is the cause of abuse, it's who's wielding the power. And we live in an age where people are they're lacking resources. People are in a scarcity, everything is lacking. So they need to suck. So they use the power that's been given to them to suck from people. But technically, who says that that's what power is asking for? I'm not saying there's not different kinds of power, I'm just speaking in general. So I'll speak about the Jewish people. This is one of my favorite subjects. And so there are some people, smart Kabbalists, people who are they're interested in mystical Judaism, who've asked the question, why is there so much anti-Semitism? And what is the root cause of anti-Semitism? And myself, I arrived at the same conclusion as they did. So I'll try to share it here. They arrived at the conclusion that the so-called Jewish people, they have a certain function. So if human beings, we put all the humans being together, there's different stratas, different kinds of people that have different functions. Obviously, the so-called Jewish people have a specific function. They found themselves all the time in select places. And people complain, well, how is it that so few people can have all these positions? Well, there's a predisposition for that. That's obvious. And normal people will get very upset. They say, no, it's cheating, it's this and that. Perhaps, but even if it's cheating, it's a predisposition to be able to get to that position, create a network, and then bring your people there. And why would I want to bring other people if I cannot just bring people who are like me? That means they think and operate like me. Back to the question at hand. Now I'm starting to flow a little more. I kind of warmed up. And the chocolate's kicking in. But the point is, why are people anti-Semitic? And then these guys suggested, perhaps, and this is also my thinking, that the Jewish people have a specific duty and responsibility towards the commoner. That means everybody. The goy. Goy sounds negative because it kind of is, but everybody else. And they're not fulfilling that function. And instinctively, the same way that a certain animal can instinctively be attracted or repelled by food or another animal, instinctively the goy, the commoners, the non-Jews, are very upset. And being that they do not understand the function of the so-called Jews, they don't understand that level of depth, not because they cannot, but let's say for the time being they cannot, their instinct is it's their fault. And perhaps they're not wrong. At least this is what the Kabbalists are saying. Some. It's a specific sect of Kabbalism. And I tend to agree with this from a point of view. So again, power is not necessarily what people imagine it to be. Power comes with responsibility. And in this day and age, where people are so in such deficit, when you have a power, I'm going to take advantage of this, and I'm going to suck, I'm going to take. Also, we have to take in consideration that the level of complexity in the modern world today is, you realize how many people there are? You know how complex that is to manage this? It's insane. The world we're living in is not sustainable. Any person with a little bit of intelligence will arrive at that simple conclusion. It is not sustainable. It's just too many people at the same time with so many differences. The minds are so different, coming from such different backgrounds. It's insanity. So imagine, people very rarely consider this. Imagine you have to manage people. Imagine you have to manage as many people. We're not talking about 100, we're talking about billions. Imagine you have to, and then it's not just billions and there's a cohesiveness. Let's say you go in China, principally it's Chinese. There's billions of people, there's a level of complexity, but at least there's similarity, something that brings them together. Imagine now you have to manage billions or hundreds of millions, but there is no real commonality. Imagine how all the more complex it becomes. Imagine now, beneath all of that, there's like a pushing element that makes people more and more diseased, sick. As time goes by, people are becoming more and more disassociated internally, and they become more in pain. So their anxiety is increasing. Imagine you have to manage that. And imagine that the people whose function, dare I say, is to manage other people, are themselves also distorted. So they have the capacity to rise in the positions of horizontal power, governmental power and whatnot, get a certain kind of status within society, because not everybody can do that. But even though that's natural, it's a natural inclination, there's something distorted. And they're not interested in fulfilling their job, really. They're interested in the power and taking advantage of it because they themselves are in such deficit. So it becomes interesting when you look at things from a larger perspective. So, yeah. So anyways, back to the question at hand. Perhaps power is not meant for everybody. And that would really be the reality. But it's very hard to understand, and everybody is watching, whoever's watching or will not watch this, everybody thinks, yes, me, and why not me? And everybody has the answer to everything. No, I don't think so. You don't really know power. If you knew power, you'd understand the burden that comes with it. And most people will fold under it. They can't handle it. They pretend that they want it, but that's because they don't have it. They don't even know what it means. They don't even understand the tuning that your nervous system has to be in to receive such a power, what you have to let go. They have no idea. If they had power, they would know. So it's very easy to point the finger and criticize. And I'm not saying they shouldn't criticize. I'm not saying that the people who have horizontal power today are not psychotic. I didn't say any of this. I'm just saying, who says that power is for everybody, whether it's horizontal or vertical? And as we can obviously see, it is not for everybody. So, as we can clearly see, there's a misunderstanding here.